Okay, so this video is on assignment 3, which is on page 8 in your packet, and it's on the key features of functions. So the first feature of a function we're going to look at is the y-intercept. This problem, and each of these is taken from Delta Math, just like the video that Ms. Morrow made. It says find the y-coordinate of the y-intercept of the polynomial function defined below. So I'm actually going to do this problem on something called the Desmos calculator. There is one on Delta Math, but we're going to see how this one works as well during this lesson. So on your computer, you want to go to desmos.com/calculator, as it says in your packet, and you can type the function right here. So we have negative x plus 2 squared, and as I type in that squared, I push shift and then 6, and that'll get me up to the exponent, and that we see the parabola form from the x squared, and then I'm going to type in the rest of the function. Now, you can tell here the y-intercept, which is on the y-axis, I can't see. Now, by pressing this minus button, it zooms out, but then it's kind of hard to read. Really what I want is I want less of the x-axis, so I click on the gear, graph settings, and maybe I just want this to go from -10 to 10. And that's going to still let me see those larger y values, but not the larger x values. So looking here, if I hover over the y-intercept, it tells me that it's 0, 48. So back over here, my answer for the y-intercept is, 0, -48. So my y-intercept is -48 for that problem. We're going to do a couple more in this video. Going over to the next page, we start to talk about the x-intercepts, roots, or zeros. So like the y-intercepts, the x-intercepts are where the graph intersects the x-axis. It does have 2 other names as well, though. Now, in this picture, we see it can entirely cross, or maybe it just bounces off. So this is actually called a graph being tangent to the x-axis. It comes up to it, touches it at one point, and then goes in the opposite direction. That's still a 0. So the 2 zeros of this graph are -0.5, and you could just type in -0.5. That'll still work on Delta Math, and 1. We do not write those y values. So this point really is 1, 0, but we just write 1 as our answer. So on Delta Math, you'll have some really basic ones where the graph is already there for you. So here I see the answers to this one are -2 for an x-intercept, +2, and 7. And you can enter it this way. You can put commas. It'll create other answers when you're on Delta Math. So there's 3 answers for that one. The next problem, exercise 3, says to use the Desmos calculator because I have a function, but I don't have the graph of it. So I'm going to go back to that Desmos calculator. I'm going to delete the function I have. Now you can, once again, use a regular graphing calculator, or you could use the graphing calculator in Delta Math. They'll work great. This is actually even a little nicer. And we're not starting to work on things like finding zeros on the calculator, which is a little trickier. And this one gives me those zeros or x-intercepts right off the bat. So here's my graph. Another nice thing is you can pick it up and move it over if you'd like. And on this graph, if I hover, it's going to tell me what those x-intercepts are. So my first one is 4.12. It says to the nearest hundredth, so that's actually already rounded for me. And the second one is 7.13. So I'm going to go back over, and my answers for this one would be 4.12 and 7.13. So now you're going to go ahead and do practice of those problems on Delta Math.